I think people look at depression or sadness as something to be avoided at all costs. I don't think that's the case. I think there's certain times where it's appropriate to feel sad, to be at a real low point in your life. And in your case, to grieve. I think I don't want anyone pulling me out of it. I don't need saving from that. Let me drown in my sorrow. And when I'm ready to come back out into the world, I will. But I need that time to grieve for someone that I miss.
Lucky Boys Podcast.
The addiction you can get to growth needs to be channeled towards the right things. And I think whenever that's related to like education and potential, your contribution, those are the things that should be encouraged. And right now, the one that's encouraged the most is like material things.
To who? I know a lot of people that want growth and it's not tied to material. It's to be work optional, right? Their growth is that so they could get to a point financially, not to buy Ferraris, and so that they don't have to wake up one day and going, damn, I have to drag my feet to work because I can't afford to buy food or put a roof over my head or my family's head. They just want to, I think most people just want freedom. Mm-hmm. That's it. They just want freedom. They want to take off the chains. Let's face it, a lot of them are doing jobs that they're not meant to do and they don't want to do.
I don't think that, I agree that doing jobs that you don't like is, and you know, okay, I do agree that most people want freedom, but I think I was taking this like science of well-being course by Yale, and they actually, people think that they'll be, if you give them a choice, like would you rather work or would you rather watch Netflix? They will always choose watch Netflix, and they have this perception that relaxing is more enjoyable to them. But when they measured it, people were happier working, like people feel more fulfilled. And I think like the level of challenge and the level of like, I forgot what it was. But basically, like, people do enjoy working. And if it's like meaningful work, that's like what happiness is. If you did nothing, that's
depression.
Worse. Yeah.
To me, doing nothing, that is a big sign in my face. Mm-hmm. That means depression. Because anytime I don't get to do anything, where I'm just moping around, mm-hmm. I get depressed. Mm-hmm. I start that other side of me starts getting all the attention in my head. And it starts beating me up, and I start getting negative thoughts, and I'm like, like no, and I start, that's when I know that it's because personally, I think there's a lot of pent up energy. Just like I'm a big dog person, and I used to have high energy dogs. I used to have pit bulls, and they are fantastic dogs, but they're not for ease. Like, you have to be active. They're not lap dogs. You just keep them in a house. You need to or you can't throw them in a backyard either. Like, you really got to put them to work. They're working animals. I take them jogging. I take them to go play fetch. Like, you have to put in time for them and exhaust them, because if you don't, they're going to be crazy in the house. They're going to start tearing things up. And I'm very similar to that, where if I don't exhaust my energy and I don't apply it and I just waste my potential, then it just kind of, I get depressed, or if I mute it. So some forms that people mute their energy because they don't have an outlet, a healthy outlet, is by drinking, is by smoking, is by spending time watching too much TV, social media, or eating. So all of those forms kind of, it enables you to kind of be lazy. And when you do that, it goes against what you naturally want to do. And that's progress. It's to go out and meet people. It's to do all these things that you're dreaming about, that you're fantasizing about. And in return to choosing the road of just ease, it turns into depression. So that's why I always choose that other stuff, because at the end of the day, I know that that one has the bigger payoff. Mm-hmm. So when people ask me about shows, most of the time like, and I seem
you're asking for the recommendations.
All right, I seem out of the loop. So that's why, I'm always the guy like, okay, I got some downtime now. What are some good shows? What are you guys watching? They're like, Will, there's so many good shows. Are you kidding me? I'm like, all right, give me one. So I mean, I do try to strike a healthy balance. I don't want to do all work and no play. I think my work is my play. But sometimes to truly just unwind and do normal people stuff, like watch Netflix or whatever it is, right? I do take part of that. I do enjoy a good movie.
Touching on like talking about depression, and I from personal experience, I totally agree with you. When we're social animals, when I was freelancing, I was working by myself. I didn't have a lot of interaction, and after a few days, just being at home, just sending emails and stuff like that, I started getting just sad, and I didn't know where to contribute that to. And I'm just like walking through the house, and I'm like, okay, I have some downtime. What am I doing? And someone called me, and I was like super elated. Like that one single like phone call just made me happy for the rest of the day. And I realized like I have to go out there and actually physically meet people and see them to continue, this happiness that I'm feeling right now. And also another thing about touching on depression, like there was another moment in my life where my grandfather passed away, and I didn't think that it would affect me as much as it did, but I started drinking, and I'm not drinking with people. I'm just drinking by myself at home, and the lights are dim, lights are off, and I'm like on my fourth cup.
Damn, you
of
set
whiskey.
the mood to be sad.
No, but then it manifested, right? It's sort of like, okay, I'm in this mood, my energy's low, and I didn't know it was depression, but because I've never really felt it. Maybe I'm sad, because my grandfather passed away, but ever since then, I've never really felt that way again. And I kind of knew that it wasn't sad. I've been sad afterwards. I know what the differentiation between sadness and depression is. And it was sort of like something was pushing me down that path of this feeling. And then all of a sudden I looked down. Yeah. And then I looked down and I'm like, wait a minute, this is like half the bottle's gone. I'm by myself. And this is my fourth cup. And I just like, at that moment, something flickered in my mind. And I just put the cup down. I just like, okay, I got to get out of here. I got to get out of the space. So I just walked out.
I feel like that can be rehabilitating though, because I think in situations like that, we need our time to grieve. I think people look at depression or sadness as something to be avoided at all costs. I don't think that's the case. I think there's certain times where it's appropriate to feel sad, to be at a real low point in your life. And in your case, to grieve. I don't want anyone pulling me out of it. I don't need saving from that. Let me drown in my sorrow. And when I'm ready to come back out into the world, I will. But I need that time to grieve for someone that I miss. I think that's perfectly normal. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all.
I think sadness and grief is really, really important. I don't know if depression is necessarily the right thing, because I think one of the biggest things in depression is that, at least for me, like everything becomes so meaningless. And this might be related to just me because I'm so emotionally detached, but when I feel sad, things are meaningful. Like there's a reason I'm sad. I care about things. And it makes me be more grateful about things. It makes me want to make the right decisions. It makes me care about other people. But when I'm depressed, I don't care about anything. And I don't know why I'm doing anything. I lose motivation for everything. And I think that's a very big difference, that like sadness and grief is very different from depression.
You're right. Absolutely right. There is a differentiation between the two. Mm-hmm. And it can be confusing sometimes separating the two, but I think you nailed it with, first one is still hopeful and the other is everything's lost. Mm-hmm. How do you pull yourself out of that?
I think like the key differentiator is that depression isn't a choice, but a lot of people think like, oh, if I'm sad, then I'm depressed. And they toss that word really casually around. But when someone has a physical ailment or a disease, you're not like, I have cancer, or like, oh, I also have heart disease. So I think the key distinction is that you don't have a choice in necessarily the perception of how you view the world, because it's the lens that you see everything in. Everything is hopeless. Everything is just sad. And you don't feel like there is a future, because for you in your mind in that state, there is no future.
Right. You feel like you're in this meaningless void.